All right. So today I want to talk about something a little different, man. I've had the idea to talk about this for a while, but I was just kind of like holding myself back a little bit, I guess, on doing it. Now, I know that this is going to be a controversial video. There's probably going to be people upset with the things I'm saying, and there might be people that agree with me, right? But I think this has to be addressed, or should be addressed by someone that's like going to try to be impartial. That's the discussion on Yonkos versus Admirals. So if y'all recall, I did a collab with the homie, feel me, my brother Vori, a while back where we discussed this, but I wanted to go into more detail with it because as of recently, I've been seeing some horrendous takes, like some disgusting takes. But before we get into the video, of course, guys, if you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on post notifications. And if you like this video, make sure you leave a like and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the topic as well. So let's just start with like the basic things that, I see. For the most part, the majority. Most people say that Yonkos have the edge over Admirals, that it'll take maybe 1.5 to 2 Admirals to defeat a Yonko. I'm not mad at that take. That take isn't like horrendous. Well, the 2 Admirals one is kind of to me, and I'll explain, but 1.5 Admirals to beat 1 Yonko is something that I have seen like a ton within the community. Now, my mindset on this is as follows. The problem with that take, and the thing that people can say against it, is there are different and varying levels to Yonko and Admirals. One of my biggest problems with the community are like fan-made power levels. And like I've said this before, I've had discussions about this before, but fan-made like power tiers can cause problems, right? We know that there's a prerequisite level to be an Admiral. You have to be at a certain level of strength to be considered to be an Admiral. However, there's no prerequisite ceiling. So like, let's just say Fujitora, Kizaru, Akainu. Well, I was going to use Aokiji, but he's not really an Admiral working with the Marines for what we know so far, but I'll still use him because he's relative and he was an Admiral. Not all of these Admirals have to be the same level of strength. They had to be the same level to get in to be an Admiral, but their ceilings could be different. For instance, Marineford. Let's look at what happened at Marineford. Akainu looked like he was leading the pack when it comes to, damage output, durability, even like speed. Aokiji was doing some impressive things too. So impressive that people thought he had future sight. Like they were saying that about Akainu and Aokiji. I remember that. But my point is Akainu led the pack with feats. The portrayal was one thing, but actual feats is another. And Akainu had the feats. But then him and Aokiji have a 10-day fight on Punk Hazard that changes the climate of the island, right? They changed the whole climate of the island. Like the island was half lava, half ice, bro. It's like Shark Boy versus Lava Girl, bro. Or like, Ice Age on one side, bro. And you got, the Court of Sun on the other, bro. Like they messed this whole island up. Now, Rayleigh has told us specifically that through fights like these, where you're like at death's door, you're fighting super hard, your hockey blooms. It becomes stronger. So to think that after a 10-day fight with a relative competitor, the Aokiji and Akainu did not grow in strength is just being disingenuous. Now, after this, Akainu becomes Fleet Admiral, and I know just a Fleet Admiral title does not mean he has to be stronger than the rest. Fleet Admiral is not a strength title, but the fact that he had to defeat someone in combat that was relative to him to become Fleet Admiral speaks volumes to this specific Fleet Admiral position. My point in saying all of this is Akainu can be stronger than the other Admirals, which means that he probably could potentially fight a Yonko better than some of the other Admirals for what we know so far, just based on feats. We don't know anything about Green Bull, so for people to say like, oh, Green Bull can do this or he can't do that, that's just straight up lies. It's cap. Stop the cap. Y'all don't even know anything about Green Bull. He could be the strongest Admiral for all we know. We have no idea. Or he could be the weakest. Who knows? But somebody that they do sleep on is Fujitora. I don't know why people sleep on this man. I honestly feel like anytime a top tier clashes with someone that's of a lower tier, they get looked at funny. Kizaru be getting looked at funny because he fought Marco and Rayleigh, and these are people that are supposed to be weaker than him. The only thing holding him up, honestly, is how cool his ability is. Fujitora, he clashes with Zoro. Dolphy, he gets looked at funny. Sabo, he gets looked at funny. Clashes do not mean really anything. It just means that they can clash with him. We seen Zoro clash with Fuji. We seen Marco clash with Big Mom, but both of those people would beat Marco and Zoro. That's just how clashes work in One Piece. Weaker people clash with stronger people all the time. Luffy clashed with Kaido. Kaido was probably stronger than him at the time. This happens. Yamato clashed with Kaido, then got punished. That happens sometimes. The clashes do not dictate, you know, what level a top tier is at, because Oda's just going to do what the plot wants to do. That's the whole thing. Like, it's so plot driven. If Oda wants something to happen for an instant, he will. We thought the Scabbards were strong enough to defeat Kaido. There was a time in the community where people thought the Scabbards, of all people, were holding their own against Kaido. And then the next chapter, he says, oh, your attacks are shallow. You couldn't even open up my old scar. And he beats the shit out of all of them. Oda is going to allow things to happen when the plot calls for it. Y'all have to understand that. That is important for this discussion. Now that I've talked about and discussed how I feel like not every admiral is at the same level, let's look at the Yonko, right? We got Shanks, we got Blackbeard, we got Big Mom and Kaido. In this situation, it's the same as the admirals. Just because they're all Yonko does not mean that they are the same power level. Are they relative to each other? Probably, but they became Yonko for different reasons. In the Ultimate Chapter, 975 explained to us why each person is who they are. Kaido and Big Mom for their monstrous bodies, their, you know, crazy, you know, strong physiques and just being powerful, right? They talk about that. They talk about Shanks and how balanced his crew is. They talk about Blackbeard and how he's so mischievous and how he was, you know, taking Whitebeard's territory and all of this stuff. But they have to be relative, right? They all have to be at a certain strength level. Like, of course, it's not the same in concrete as the admiral situation. It's not told to us that they have to be, but we can infer based on, you know, things we've seen, feats, portrayal, etc., dialogue, whatever. That does not mean they're the same power level. They don't have to be. Right now, Blackbeard could be the strongest in the verse. We don't know. Kaido could still be the strongest overall, even though he might lose to Luffy. Well, he is going to lose, bro. Like, at this point, I mean, the writing's on the wall. But so let's take both sides of this argument and just mash it together, right? Because I'm not here to tell you, you know, who's stronger, Yonko or admirals. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to have this discussion and to try to, like, at least make some sort of, like, you know, compromise with both sides. Because there's people that think Yonkos are stronger. There's people that think admirals are stronger. There's people that think they're equal. There's people that think whatever. I just want to say that the matchups are what matters the most, bro. The matchups matter the most. And I don't mean like devil fruit disadvantages and advantages, none of that stuff. For instance, Akainu might be the strongest admiral. I think he is out of everyone, right? If he was to fight Kaido, I think he could fight Kaido 1v1. Will he win? Maybe not. I don't know. He's going to do better in a 1v1 against Kaido than, in my opinion, Kizaru would, based on feats. That's just how I feel about it, right? Let's take out Kiji, someone that's relative to Akainu, someone that fought for 10 days, someone who's hockey bloomed in that fight as well. If he was to fight, let's just say Shanks, right? He would probably do better against Shanks than Kizaru would, or Fujitora would, based on feats, based on what I've seen. That's all I'm saying. The matchup matters the most. So maybe it'll take Fuji and Green Bull to defeat Kaido. Who knows? But is half of Fujitora and Kizaru beating Kaido? I don't think so. But is Akainu and then half of Aokiji beating Kaido? I think so. That's all I'm saying. Like, I think the matchups matter. Who it is matters. What Yonko it is and what admiral it is what matters when it's 1.5 admirals or 2 admirals or 1 admiral. That's all I'm saying. And I'm basing that off of feats and betrayal, both. I think it's important to look at the facts, look at what we have instead of just like making assumptions based off of titles. That's all I'm saying. This is a really good conversation to have with the community. I think it's important to have. I'm not trying to come off condescending or to belittle anyone that has, you know, what feeling and thoughts that they do. I just feel like this is such an important conversation to have with the community in general. It's one that we don't have often. So that's all I'm saying, guys. But I want to know how you feel. So make sure you comment down below. Let me know what you think when it comes to titles, power levels, matchups, things like that. And as always, I hope you all are staying safe and healthy during these trying times. This has been Sensei Ink, and I will see you all in the next video.